Hi, Steve. Always a pleasure to meet up with you at the range to do some further work. Looking forward to working further on the 11th of February when we get together for the coaching day over at White Stick. A lot of work done really on that change of direction. I've put some comparisons here between where you were towards the end of your session this week and where you were when you visited in October. And you can see there that both top left and centre, top centre are much better positions than you were getting. What we've been trying to do is get you back into flexion with the lower body. You can see now on the top left, much more moving back into flexion with the ankle and the knee and the pelvis, but the club being kept on playing by the extra linear movement, which we're now getting because what we worked on the other day, which was increasing the pressure into the left side as you change direction. So your old habit would have been to start to extend way too early so the hips will be tucking under, and then the rotation and the slide would come in quite late. And watch that through from face on. We'd start pushing up pretty quick with the left leg, not really going down into the ground, and then everything would kick in late. The feeling here is from the top, we want to feel the pressure increase into the left thigh. So we want to feel like the pressure's increasing into the front part of the left foot as you change direction. I'll just show you doing your drill here. So P4 to P5. Feeling like the pressure's going into the ground more, as per the images that I've sent across to you via email. So if that's you doing the drill. And then when it comes to hitting the shot, we're into the ground much more. So that's getting the hips sliding further forward. Coming through impact, massive improvement. And I was looking at some of your swings from actually when we first met the other day, and the difference in the position of the body is quite remarkable, to be fair. You've done a great job in that. When you look at it from down the line, the movement from the top, the increase in pressure, the idea of creating that pouncing cat move, gets everything back into flexion, gets the right shoulder working down and around. The continuous hip slide is keeping the club in. Beautiful position at P6 down the line. A much more steady rate of turn, extension and hip slide. And then the thing we talked about was to try and feel like you were going to stop quicker. This particular example here was a really quick finish. It doesn't necessarily need to be as quick as that. If you watch one or two of your previous recaps, you'll see some really good examples of you stopping quick. One of the best ones was when you felt like both arms and club were pointing down the range like steel rods, P9. So that was a great feeling for you. So through the ball, both arms like steel rods pointing straight down the range, and that got the finish tidied up nicely. Got you getting rid of some of that left knee flex a little bit sooner on the way through. Having said that, the head's releasing much more as it should. The hips have slid forward for longer than they were doing before. They've also rotated at a much steadier rate. But your key pieces, or your key piece from this session, was to tidy up that first move from P4 to P5. The club is being, or the arms are being brought back down by the pressure increasing into the front part of the left foot. When we looked at your pitching, one of the things we discussed was that the plane needed to shift to the left. Now for me, you just emphasise that a little bit too much on occasion, and it can get a little bit narrow and a little bit snatchy. So we do want a shorter arc when we're trying to control the low point, but it doesn't need to be excessively short. So just try and soften everything up that we see here. You've actually got a recap that covers pitching in quite some detail. It was one of the first ones we did on your pitching. So if you have a little look at that, there's a lot more detail on there of what you want to try and achieve. Looking at that as an overall action, I would be looking at less wrist hinge. I will be looking at trying to keep the weight forward. It just drifts off a little bit there. So a bit quieter with the hands. Make sure that the ball's forward and the weight's forward at setup. And then the feel for you really is just little fade. That was the sort of picture we conjured up, wasn't it? Just try and feel like you're going to slide across the back of the ball a little bit. And as we showed you on flight scope, when you're pitching, 40, 50 yards, your emphasis needs to be, or your focus needs to be much more on the distance that you want to hit the golf ball, as opposed to the direction you want to hit it. Very few directional problems from 30 to 50 or even 100 yards. The main issue you've got is the sort of shot dispersion front to back of the pin, if you will. Lengthways, can you hit 35 yards every time, which is what you improved your ability to do simply by changing your focus. So food for thought on your pitching as well. A little bit less wrist action going back, a little bit more stable, in relation to where the weight's located, keeping the weight forward throughout, and then just feeling like we're softening the arms just a little bit on the way through. Good luck with it. I look forward to working with you again in Feb.